When the Magic Kingdom opened Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin at the Magic Kingdom, it had already replaced two rides in that location. One was Flight to the Moon. The other one was If You Had Wings, Delta Dream Flight. So, based on the huge popularity of the Toy Story franchise, they decided that they needed to have some kind of a shooter ride at the Magic Kingdom. Now, this was, way before Toy Story Land was built, so there was no Toy Story Midway Mania, until years later. So they opened Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, and again, that replaced Delta Dream Flight and If You Had Wings, or Flight to the Moon. This ride has always, I don't know if, this ride has always been kind of, I don't want to say not popular, but over the years, it had definitely shown its age. It had definitely shown its age. And it needed an update. It really needed an update really, really soon. Because it was really looking worse for wear. And then, as it turns out, Disney decided that they were going to reimagine Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin and make it more up to date, more up to par. So now let's dive in and see how this attraction has evolved in Michael's honest review of Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin at the Magic Kingdom. So, so when we got the when they told us that Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin was being updated, we were all excited. We were all like, "Oh, that's great! Give these older attractions some much needed love and care." And they really had to kind of, I don't want to say work on this quickly, but Magic Kingdom was already down a lot of capacity. Big at that time, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad was still closed. Of course, the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island had closed, so they were already down a lot of capacity. And then closing this ride I think they just decided, we're just going to, close this and get it over with and open it when we can. So, so this ride has now officially reopened. So, couple things. We knew that we were getting new vehicles. We knew that we were getting new blasters. We knew that we were getting an updated scoring system. We knew that we were getting a new original theme park character. She, her name is Buddy. Which is, I always support, original theme park characters. I really, things don't always have to be IP. Walt Disney World kind of falls into that because, that's just the type of clientele here. You have to build things that have current IP because that's what people that come to this resort expect. Okay, Walt Disney World is different from Disneyland and all the other resorts because people things down here, unfortunately, they don't mean with the exception of some things, they don't mean a lot. They don't mean a lot to guests coming to the resort. Okay. So you have to build things that people are that are going to go into those spaces and spend half their some of their day. So I truly believe that's why they wanted to, one of the reasons why they wanted to update Buzz Lightyear, because people just weren't going in there anymore. The business was not there anymore, and they wanted to update the attraction and keep it, kind of make it up to par, up to snuff, so people would go in there. So let's, we're going to walk through the attraction. So, heading up to the attraction, there's a brand new, billboard. There's a brand new, sign for the attraction, which it looks nice. It really, it looks good. The fan in me is sad because the sign from Delta Dream Flight is gone. That's what the old sign was with Buzz Lightyear. They just took the Delta Dream Flight sign and they just painted over Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. So with this reimagining, we got a brand new attraction poster. We got a brand new brand new sign as well out front. And then going into the queue, I filmed the queue and the ride. The queue is on my blogging channel if you want to check that out. The ride is on my Disney Ride channel. But let's walk through the queue right at the beginning. The queue, to my knowledge, was really unchanged. They really now they painted over things. They kind of made them they made all of the stuff in there. It was much needed TLC and paint and work. So everything in the queue looks great. It looks fresh, up to date. And then almost at the end of the queue, you run into the Buzz Lightyear audio animatronic. With this update, the queue is great. The queue is fine. I have no notes. What I would have liked, though, is if they would have gotten rid of his projection face and they would have done a physical face. That's what I would have wished for. They didn't do that. He's still the same figure. Again, he looks good. He looks great. But I mean, if we're going to be nitpicky, I would have, taken out the projection face and put in a physical face. Since Disney's trying to get away from that, but I guess they just felt like they didn't need to. That's not where they wanted to spend their money. Or maybe the budget wasn't there for that. I don't know. But then you move into the load station. Again, it's still that Omnimover ride system, much like Haunted Mansion or Spaceship Earth, where it's constantly loading. You get into your vehicle, and this time, pull the lap bar down, and you may remember that on the old ride, the blasters didn't go anywhere. They were mounted to the vehicle, and you couldn't pick them up. You couldn't, it wasn't a free, what's the word I'm looking for? A handheld type of thing. So I'm really glad that this time, this update, they decided to not have them mounted on the vehicle, so you can pick them up and you can point them around anywhere, which, again, is great. That's a great update. I'm glad that they did that. They still have the joystick where you can, spin around, which is, what the attraction is, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin. So when you leave the boarding area, you run into the new original character, Buddy, who is a woman, which is a girl robot, and you spend a couple seconds practicing with her on the new target system, which is great. The new target system that they developed is much more responsive. When you hit the target, it lights up your gun color, so you know that you hit the target. And then once you kind of finish your training, then you're taken out to Planet Z, where you are tasked with taking down evil Emperor Zurg and rescuing the aliens. Again, inside, nothing. They didn't really change a whole lot inside. Again, it was more just cosmetic, kind of making, painting things, fixing things, making sure, again, things look up to par and everything. And you go through, and you shoot your targets, which, and this ride, the new system for the guns is great. They're responsive. Once you hit the target, the whole target lights up to your specific color. So once you hit the target, you know that you hit that target, which is great. What makes it really nice is if you get stopped, because this is an Omnimover ride system, so you may or may not get stopped. If you get stopped, you can still hit the targets, which is great. They don't turn them off when the ride stops, which is great. So you keep going, and then you go into the old speed tunnel, which the projections were really updated. They clearly updated it with the current technology. It's crisp, it's clear, it's not from the 90s anymore. When you rode Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin pre this refurbishment, it was very clear that this attraction was from the 90s. A lot of things the projections were worn. The targets looked old. It was very clear that this ride was built in the 90s. So once they decided to update the attraction, everything was updated. So the animation looks crisp and clear. And again, when you fire at the screen, it still lights up. So you know that it knows, and you know that you hit the target with your specific gun. So then you go through the speed tunnel. You've saved the aliens. You've collected the power cells, and at the end you see Zurg get his comeuppance, because at the end you fight Zurg in his ship. At the end you see Zurg get his comeuppance. With the Buzz Lightyear projection faced audio animatronic. So at the end of this attraction, again, like I said, I wish that they would have done a physical face of Buzz Lightyear. I really wish that they would have put in a full audio animatronic of Zurg being defeated, instead of that cardboard cutout, which is very reminiscent to the old Fantasyland dark rides. But they didn't do that. So you have a three-dimensional figure interacting with a two-dimensional figure, but if we're being nitpicky, that's what I found really interesting as well. They recast Zurg. Zurg has gotten a new voice for this attraction, and he sounds really, really good in this attraction. He sounds really great, really clear. So it's not that kind of like, the old Zurg in the attraction kind of was like, so, you couldn't really understand what he was saying. This time, they updated him, so, he speaks very clearly. You understand what he's saying. He sounds correct. So kudos to Disney for recasting Zurg. They didn't do it with Buzz Lightyear, which, I don't think they really needed to. What I would have liked, though, is if they would have brought Tim Allen back to do the voice of Buzz. Again, if we're being nitpicky, keeping that continuity, I would have liked, Disney to bring back Tim Allen as Buzz to do the update. They didn't do that. Again, it's fine. Average guest really isn't going to notice that. But that's what I would have done. But anyway, you exit the ride and you get off the ride, and then you get to see your score. Let's backtrack a little bit. So right before the speed tunnel, right before you go after Zurg, you get your picture taken. So you go through the right before the speed tunnel, and then the attraction takes your picture, and then once you exit the ride, right before you exit the ride, your score at the very end, it tells you your score. Your score flashes, and it tells you what rank you are. Again, with this attraction, they updated it, so now getting Galactic Hero is much more harder than it was pre-update. So you have to score a lot higher now to get the Galactic Hero. So just keep that in mind when you write it. That you're probably thinking, gee, this is this is my, my score that I, usually do. And it used to be Galactic Hero, and now it's, what is it? Planetary Pilot, I think that's what it's called, or something down the line. So just keep that in mind that, now Galactic Hero is, you have to score a lot more points with it to get Galactic Hero. Which is great. I don't want to say it is somewhat repeatable. It's not a ride that I want to do every single time that I want to go to the Magic Kingdom, but if I want to try for a higher score, now I have to kind of relearn this new system and figure it out. So it is almost a repeatability factor, which is great, because then, after a couple times of riding the attraction, you're like, well, that didn't work. Let's try something different. Let's try something new. So, you can, keep returning to the attraction and seeing what you're, if you can beat your score, which is really, which is nice. So anyway, you get out of the vehicle and you exit, and then you can download your tap your Magic Band or your card, and you can get your photo linked to your My Disney Experience account, and then you exit and you go back into the park. So overall, it was overall, it's a good ride. Is it my favorite ride at the Magic Kingdom? No, but they evidently spent money. They evidently, wanted to make this attraction more re-rideable than it was in the past. Like I said, now I can go on it multiple times and try to beat my score. It's a fun ride, and it's a really nice update. It really is a nice update. Is it something that I want to do every time every time that I'm at the Magic Kingdom? No, but once in a while, I like tomorrow, I'm going to the Magic Kingdom, and I'm gonna ride Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin again, because the first time I was videoing it, and I couldn't really do as well as I could, because I had to film the ride. So this time when I ride it, I can actually, play the game, and I don't have to worry about filming the ride, which is great. So, but anyway, a couple notes. We knew that we were getting a new original theme park character with Buddy the robot. Again, she's great. She looks, she's fantastic. I would have liked her more prominently in the ride. You only see her in the very beginning of the ride for like 2 seconds until you move out and go to Planet Z. I would have liked her at the end of the ride, and been like, said something like, "Great job, guys, you did fantastic," or whatever. So, again, I love original theme park characters, but I think that I just feel that Buddy could have been featured more prominently in the ride, instead of just at the very beginning when you see her for like 2 seconds until you move on to Planet Z. That would have been something that I would have done. But I mean, otherwise, off the top of my head, I don't really have anything too nitpicky, too bad. Again, I wish they would have updated Zurg at the end, where he's next to the audio animatronic Buzz. I feel that that's kind of jarring, You know, they could have, you know, made a full audio animatronic of Zurg. They didn't. But they did recast Zurg, so he sounds great. He sounds a lot better than what he did in the original attraction. But I mean, other than that, other than I wish that they would have had Buddy more prominent in the ride and a full audio animatronic of Zurg instead of that flat cardboard cutout with his fist going like this. I really don't have any notes. I don't have any notes. You know, this was a lot, you know, this is, you know, I'm glad that they spent the money on this attraction because this attraction really needed TLC. If there was one ride at the Magic Kingdom that you asked me pre all of this update stuff and everything, if there was one ride that you would ask me, which ride I think that they should refurbish, I would have said Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. So I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad that they spent the money in the attraction. They clearly updated things and made this attraction more rideable again. You know, again, it's a little bit more repeatable than it was before. Where it was like, you know, I rode that ride. I'm like, I don't really need to ride that again. It was, you know, it's not something that I want to do all the time. Now it's like, wow, you know, I want to rewrite that again so I can see if I can do better with my score and my accuracy. So again, a very loving update to this attraction. They clearly spent the money here with the attraction, with the outside, and not really anything with the queue. The queue looks the same, but you know, it's refreshed. It's, you know, they repainted and they took care of the attraction, which is really what you're supposed to do. Is really what you're supposed to do to an attraction, you know, every couple years, is you need to give it some TLC and love. And I'm so glad that finally they decided to do it with Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. So I think that this was a great update. If you take the kids, I think you're going to have a great time. The kids are going to be, you know, I think they're going to be, you know, I think they're going to love it. And it's a nice way to kill, you know, like, you know, it's a nice way to kill, like, you know, a couple moments of your day, you know, especially right now with the heat, you know, getting an air break and riding this ride. It's not the end all be all attraction. It's not the greatest thing, but it is better than what it was before. And that's the rules. That's the rule for theme parks is, you know, if you update something or if you replace an attraction, it has to be better or as good as what it was before. And I truly think that this Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin is better than the one before. Is it as good? I think it's better. I truly think it's better than the attraction, than the previous iteration of Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I truly think it's better. It's as good, if not better, than the version of Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin that came before it. But you guys have to let me know what you think in the comments. But it was a very good update. They spent the money. They, having another ride to do at the Magic Kingdom right now is very important. you know, because again, we're still down, you know, a lot of capacity. We're still down capacity. So I'm glad that they got this ride completed, and Big Thunder Mountain as well. I'm glad that they got those completed when they did, because now it's, you know, there's more to do at the Magic Kingdom. So I think it's great. Sooner or later, I'm going to work on my Big Thunder Mountain Railroad honest review. So look for that soon. I know that this was kind of late, that this was really late. Time was against me, so I apologize that this honest review was so late. This, you know, this will be out. This will be on my news channel, because this is still kind of news worthy. So this will be out on my news channel. So look for that. But again, you guys will let me know. You guys have to let me know if you've rode Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. If you like it any better than the previous version, or if you thought, you know, that was, I mean, again, it's not the greatest thing ever. It's not the greatest ride, but it is definitely a lot better of a ride than the previous version. So, but you all have to let me know in the comments. But you know, I think it's a better iteration of the ride than what came before. So, if you're enjoying this honest review, if you enjoyed watching this honest review, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to this channel for more content. Again, I'm going to be working on the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad honest review coming soon. So look for that in the not too distant future. Again, if you like this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to this channel for more content. I thank you guys very much for watching this video. You guys stay tuned for the next honest review, and stay tuned for the news that will be coming out later on this evening. Until then, y'all keep each other safe and healthy, and we will see you real soon.